For me, it just comes from writing what I know. Like it would be more difficult for me to write something heteronormative or something heterosexual. 'Cause, I don't have the personal experience of how a woman feels or how a straight man feels about and interacts. So, my representation of queer culture is sort of incidental. I'm just writing what I know. And if representation happens because of that, excellent. The only thing that I put consciousness behind is making sure different body types, different races, and different ages are all in all of my every production. I want it to be a smattering of different types.
Alrighty, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Left of Str8 Show podcast. I am your host, as always, Scott Fullerton, and today I am thrilled to have in studio with me a creator who turned modern-day gay dating chaos into comedy gold. He's a writer, actor, producer, musician, and the mind behind the Dekkoo series, Danny Will Die Alone. From viral video blogs to a fully realized scripted series, he's built a show that's both bold, funny, self-aware, and definitely unapologetically queer. Please welcome to the show for the first time, Mr. Jack Tracy. Jack, how are you, boss?
I'm great. How are you? We talked before. You're cold.
I am cold, yes. We talked a bit off air. You're in New York. I'm in Ohio here. I usually make fun of the fact that I've been banished here for the last 25 years from Southern California, but I'm liking the East Coast life except for this cold, I got to tell you.
Yeah, you and me both.
Well, I'm so excited to talk to you. I told you off air I wasn't familiar with the series. I love Dekkoo, one of my favorite streaming platforms. I've seen a lot of the shows there, but was not familiar with this till I got to see a special sneak of season 3 here. But congratulations on the first 2 seasons. Are we excited to get at it one more time?
Yeah, this is the final season, so I'm excited to wrap it up and see what everybody thinks. We left season 2 at a cliffhanger, so I'm anxious to see what people think.
I saw that, and it's a lot of fun. I didn't understand it because, like I said, I started from season 3, so I had to go backwards. But yeah, very, very cool stuff. Let's talk about you for a second. I mean, your origin story is kind of crazy, from law to tech to music to acting to writing. What kind of was the moment you went from all that to no, storytelling's the path I'm going to take?
So I grew up sort of a child of both worlds. I was heavy in academics, but I was also in the theater program, music groups, dance. I did a lot of dance growing up. And so I was always in all of it. I went to college for musical theater, but then right after decided that sort of the chasing audition life wasn't for me. So I went to law school, became a lawyer, did all of that, and eventually left the firms and got more of a stable 9 to 5 job and realized that I was missing being creative. So I started my production company, Necessary Outlet, and started with the web series History, which was also on Dekkoo. And just one thing led to another. And now here we are almost 10 years later with season 3 of Danny.
Fantastic. Yeah, stable it's not compared to the others, but definitely worthwhile along the way. And you can make a good living at it. There's a lot of, I've been so fortunate over the last 10 years to speak to people that really get to live their dreams. And it
Mm,
seems like you've really done that. So I'm so excited for you.
thank you.
Danny Will Die Alone kind of started as video blogs, from what I understand, and then a podcast before it became the scripted series. What did the early experiments kind of teach you about the voice and how the whole audience thing?
Well, it's so fun. I never would have imagined when I first started what would be considered like the first seed of this show that it would ever be what it is today. It started because the pandemic hit, we were all locked inside, and there was nothing I could do. Like I couldn't do music videos. I couldn't make a new show. We're all inside. So it was just like, what can I do while I'm sitting here? So I made all of these sort of YouTube straight to camera diatribes about dating, loosely scripted, but mostly these like ranting monologues, which would become Danny's ranting monologues. So they had some animation with it. It was very Trixie Katya kind of feeling. So it started there. And then it was like, okay, well, this could be a podcast where we talk about dating stories and we play games and we swipe the apps together. So my co-host and I started Dying Alone together, and we did that for a few years. And then the stories that came out of that, I was like, well, let me do a web series. So then we had 9 episodes of little like 10-minute shorts that were on my OnlyFans, and that became season 1 of Danny Will Die Alone. And then Dekkoo came in, gave us money. We turned it into a half-hour show, and now here we are in season 3. So it's a long road where I never expected where it would go next.
I bet, but fantastic that it got there. Talk to me for a second. I mean, you grew up in Pennsylvania before moving to New York. How did that contrast maybe shape your comedic lens? And did it influence any of the way that you wrote Danny?
Well, I grew up, my influences were, I guess as a kid, my comedic influences were the Muppets.
Nice.
That was a big sort of, especially the early. I recently rewatched a bunch of stuff, and like the pre Jim Henson's death Muppets had a lot of like acerbic humor that was for adults. It wasn't all kitty kitty. And so I had all of that. And then my cartoons growing up were like Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain and like these, The Critic and The Simpsons.
Yeah.
So that was sort of my style of humor. And I always knew I wanted to come to New York. I knew that from before I even visited, just from movies. Like I knew that I had to live in New York. That's where I could be myself. That's where I could be gay. So it was always a fast track to there. I thought it was going to be for Broadway and ended up being for law. But yeah, my humor comes from heavy sarcasm. There's a bit of darkness to my humor, very sexual. There's a lot of innuendo and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm a little on the darker side.
And I like it. I'm here for that. But Danny, I mean, he is outrageous and hyper honest and kind of messy, but he's also very relatable too. How much of Danny is you and how much are you exaggerating to play him?
So I like to say that Danny is sort of an alternate universe version of me where I've had a complete mental breakdown and lost all ability for tact. And I just completely fried at the end. I also say he's sort of like a evil twin of like David Shit, you know,
Right?
with his sort of like being put out about everything, but now just also just judgmental and dark. David's funny where Danny is dark. But as far as exaggeration, every single episode is based off of something that has happened to me. It is
Oh, no.
exaggerated a little bit here and there, and some aren't exaggerated at all. I have a lot of wild stories. Not all of them even made it to Danny.
I was gonna say I have questions, follow-up questions I may not make it on air here. I like that. Very cool. Well, and dating apps and hookup culture are definitely central to the show. What did you want to capture maybe about modern day dating that you feel wasn't shown elsewhere? What made you kind of
Well,
play with that a bit?
so I feel like modern day dating is very, they're all very much heavy on the romantic comedy of finding someone and then maybe some missed connections, but the process of falling in love. And I wanted to show the nitty gritty before that happens. All of the frogs you kiss before they turn into princes, the frustration, the different sort of communities that you stumble your way into that you didn't know existed. The people who approach dating, these guys are just looking for sex. These guys are looking to date. These guys, they lead you on with one, but then switch to the other. The flakiness, the non-committal, the different kinds of relationships people are looking for. Just all of those, all of the stuff before you get to the second date. All of that. That's what I wanted to get into.
Did it so well. I love that. And the show breaks the fourth wall so much, breaks directly to the audience. I mean, it confused me the first like 5 minutes of going into season 3, because if you're not familiar with that scene, it's like, wait a second, who's he talking to? And then you kind of explain it about 3 to 5 minutes in there. And, oh Now I get this. This is kind of really cool the way he's using this device. Why was that storytelling device important to the series or important to you to film it that way?
So this is a rare show. I don't know if many people know it, but back in the aughts, maybe the tens, there was this TV show called Better Off Ted, which I really, really liked. They only did one or two seasons, and they talked directly to camera. And I thought it was a sort of the evolution of where it started, which was my blogs to camera and my ranting. It was evolution of that, the inspiration of that show, and though I haven't seen the show, knowing that Fleabag does something similar, I know that
Right.
she will break the fourth wall and turn to camera. So it was just the device in order to let you in on the truth of what is going on in Danny's head, especially since Danny starts at such a frustrated, jaded point. You can always show it through his actions, but to show it through what he's thinking really gets to the heart of it. And in that way, it's really lent to a connection with my audience where, you know, they're like, oh my God, that's what I think too, but it would never say it. So you're connecting with people who are having these thoughts as well, but it would never come out of their mouths.
Right, right. And talk about, I mean, Deku became the home for the show. What was it like taking an independent project like that or a web project at all and then scaling it into these 30-minute professionally produced streaming series? I mean, I would been doing web series for 10 years with a lot of people, and now we're the 30 minutes unheard of until recently. Talk about doing that and how that came about and what that felt like in the production process.
Well, I am very lucky to be working with Dekkoo because Dekkoo, we knew each other because they licensed some of my other work previously, so they already knew what I did. And when they saw Danny, which I just sent to them, like, "Oh, do you want to license this?" And they came to me and were like, "Actually, we want to make it a show." Um, they trusted my creativity and my vision for the show, and pretty much just wrote the check and let me go do what I wanted to do. So they were very hands off, trusted the process, trusted me, which I'm extremely thankful for. In terms of elevating it, season one are those short webisodes, and then season two is the half hour. Their only instruction was to incorporate a through line plot. That there needed to be some sort of, they couldn't just be isolated episodic, that there needed to be something going on, some serialization. So, with that, I thought it was important to introduce a secondary character, which is Maddie, who ends up being my co-lead, played by Jordan Bell, and sort of telling the story, having Danny have someone that he can vent to, in addition to the audience, and then that relationship between Danny and Maddie grows to follow them. So that is really the evolution. It was the introduction of Maddie and introduction of an overall storyline, but still keeping each episode to have that like episodic, we always tackle there's a new guy, there's a new situation in every episode, but putting you on a journey towards an endpoint.
That's great they gave you that advice, so how does that affect you as a writer to know, does that something that you already had in your head already, or did it let you kind of revisit and kind of concentrate in ways you didn't before, or talk about how that affected your writing?
Well, when they said that, I hadn't considered. I didn't know it was going to go longer than the webisode, so I had no consideration of what was going to happen. So they gave me that instruction, and so just my brain went, okay, well that means he has to have continuing relationships because in these webisodes, you just see him on a date with a new guy every single time. So he has to have a life. We see that he has a dog who's around, but that's the only. And then there's this character Sally who showed up here and there that is his friend. We eventually roped in the paralegal that was a single episode from season one. It was like, well, let's make him a recurring character. So it's just developing this sort of like world that Danny lives in, which led to a handful of people that then recur. And with Maddie particularly, it's like, okay, well, if this is a love story, has to get added to it, then there has to be someone. You can't have it where it's just, okay, the last episode he meets somebody and ta-da, he's done. There has to be some sort of like something's going on. So we see through season two that this relationship is developing between Danny and Maddie, which then crashes out at the end of season two. So just the idea of like there needed to be someone that was kind of boiling in the background in order to keep people watching.
Got it. Let's talk about the heated rivalry of it all. I mean, the series doesn't shy away from topics, open relationships. You got polydynamics in there, sexual roles, emotional vulnerability. Was there anything originally that made you nervous to put on screen, even in queer media? Because it seems like now you can show anything according to Heated Rivalry. So, talk about, is it weird to feel like that was even an issue ever, or was it ever an issue?
I mean, my previous web series history, we had an orgy, we were naked. Like this heated rivalry thing is a mainstream production that's doing this, but I've been doing this since 2016. It was nothing. And other web series too. It wasn't just me. Smaller gay series were always having sex and showing nudity and this and that. So it's not new to independent. It's only new to mainstream. So no, I had no reservations. Sex scenes are always very meticulously choreographed. I am very conscious of making sure anybody else in the scene is included in the choreography, that we talk about it, that we walk through it. If they want to look at it on camera to see how it's being recorded so they feel comfortable, I let them do that. So we are a very collaborative. I don't want anyone on set, because we get pretty risky. So I don't want anybody on set to feel like, they weren't proud of what they did. Everyone has a voice. We close the set. We wear the pouches. I try to be very conscientious, but no, I mean anything goes. I don't think the only thing I was worried about. We have a joke in episode 3 this season, which is mildly political. Which when we filmed it, I was like, with the way things are going, I don't know if this is going to age well. I think it's fine because nobody's mentioned it yet. But there is one joke that I was like, I don't know if we should do this.
I, I'm going to have to revisit that because I don't know what it is right off the top of
It's
my
on a
head.
poster.
Okay, never mind. I'm there. I'm there. Nice. All right. Let's talk. I mean, comedy is the obvious vehicle for this, but over the seasons, as I look back on it, I mean, we're talking loneliness, intimacy, connection is underneath. Does your relationship to those themes kind of change as you wrote later seasons?
Well, yeah. So in season 1, it was just take a topic, play with a topic, make it funny. So there was no sort of it was just me writing this laundry list in my notes app of what different things could I talk about. In season 2, it was about, I had my list of topics, but the idea of season 2 was, not seeing what's right in front of your eyes, right? Because we see that Maddie is developing these feelings and Danny is completely oblivious to it. So the idea there was show the subtle ramp up of Maddie while Danny is just going on these adventures, right? And then season 3, I don't want to give anything away, but season 3 is about diverging and intersecting roads.
I like the
And
way
that's
that's
all I
said.
can say
Yes.
without spoiling anything.
Nice. Well said. Now, I mean, LGBTQ audiences often see themselves kind of fragmented on screen already. How important was it you to show that authentic queer representation? I mean, as a creator, it sounds like you're doing it your entire career, but how important was to make sure that came across when you was it easier working with Dekkoo? Would you have held to your guns no matter who wanted to buy it, or talk about that queer representation of it all?
Well, for me, it just comes from writing what I know. Like it would be more difficult for me to write something heteronormative or something heterosexual. 'Cause, I don't have the personal experience of how a woman feels or how a straight man feels about and interacts. So, my representation of queer culture is sort of incidental. I'm just writing what I know. And
Right.
if representation happens because of that, excellent. The only thing that I put consciousness behind is making sure different body types, different races, and different ages are all in all of my every production. I want it to be a smattering of different types. The only thing when it comes to queer representation that I really pull back from is didn't want a show where it's a bunch of super hot guys shirtless rubbing on each other for 6 episodes. I wanted it to look real. So we have some good looking guys. We have some average looking guys. We have guys that you will encounter in real life. And so that is what I'm conscious about is making sure it actually looks like reality and not this stylized thirst show.
That was my follow-up question because I was very as I call myself playfully a bear of a certain age. I have a certain body type and a little older than a lot of people. So I was very appreciative of that and seeing the different diversity throughout the seasons as I went back. I'm glad that was a conscious decision. I think it plays well. I think it shows your intention as a creator, but it also shows the community as a whole, right? And I think that's so
Yeah.
important. So I'm glad that was so out there and so intentional. And we've kind of talked about it throughout the interview, but you've essentially built Danny Will Die Alone as like a one-man creative studio. You do the writing, directing, you're starring. It sounds like you're the intimacy coordinator. I mean, one-man band all the way together. What's been your biggest lessons in creative entrepreneurship as you've kind of gone through all this?
Well, we're a tiny production. We're not even getting heated rivalry money out of this. So you've got to figure out. You have to be very conscious of what you want to spend money on. So my rule is put as much of it in front of the camera as you possibly can. We're able to hire these extras and book these venues, and by spending the money there, I'm able to make the show really punches above its weight. It looks much more expensive than it actually is because we put all the money on front of the camera.
Right.
And what that means is the sacrifice is the more that I do, the less money I have to spend. So I have
Right.
taught myself how to video edit. I do the audio editing. I do the coloring. I do the directing. I wrote it. I'm the lead actor. So all of that cost is off the table. And so I can put all of the budget in front of the camera. But with that, you just have to understand that, like, yeah, you're going to be spinning a lot of plates at once. And so you have to pace yourself. If you make that decision to save that money and teach yourself, you have to, during production, every day has a to-do list because I got to break it all up. I do a little bit every day. So, because it's a marathon, we started pre-production on Danny in January and we filmed
Good.
in June. So every day, find a new venue, find a new this, do a new that.
You froze on me.
So pacing.
Hold on a second. You froze on me. Start over with the January line.
Sure. So, for instance, with Danny, pre production started in January. We didn't start filming until June. So that was 6 months of every day. Okay, find a location today. Tomorrow, look for background actors. The next day, look for music. This day, do that. So just every day, something else so that it wasn't, crashing and burning at the end. It's a marathon.
And you're so good about anticipating my next questions here, because like right now, I mean, so many listeners out there, so many people are creators. They're trying to turn themselves popular on Instagram and TikTok and things, getting noticed in real platforms. What practical advice would you give some people developing their own queer series or digital project? I mean, it sounds like obviously learning the budget and learning to do that, but what kind of other advice would you give?
Two biggest things are don't let perfect be the enemy of good, right?
Mm.
A lot of people will wait until they feel like they are the master and they are perfect. Just start. Just put something out. It's not going to be accept that it is not going to be perfect and you got to start somewhere and the next thing will always be better than the previous thing. Just start. So Danny Will Die Alone was me on my phone talking to my phone and then I put a little animations and now here I am season 3 of a television show. So just start. And with that, be open to the opportunities and not beholden to expectations. You do not know where it's going to go and what it's going to lead to. I have done numerous productions that have done nothing, but I've met somebody. And by meeting someone in that production, it lent to something else and it led to this. So do what you want to do, make it happen, put it out there, and then keep an eye. Okay, where's the universe leading me with this? It may not be where you expect, but follow the opportunity.
Those are two amazing pieces of advice. Thank you for sharing those. The first part I've come across my life so much recently. Just I'm a planner, right? And it's like sometimes you're too much of a planner. Just get the
Yeah.
damn thing done, right? Fantastic advice. Thank you for sharing that. Let's kind of start wrapping it up with let's talk about music for a second and some future projects. I mean, you're also releasing music. You've had songs appear throughout your work. How does your music and storytelling kind of feed each other in your creative life?
Well, I made a promise to myself. It was like my mid to late 30s that I was going to spend the rest of my life doing everything I ever wanted to do as a child. And so that meant making music and performing on stage. It meant being on TV. It meant being in a movie. It meant writing and creating. I just follow whatever I feel like doing at the moment. And that has always been my guide. And music is a big part of that. I love making music. So I kind of take the RuPaul strategy, which is you all really like to watch my show, so let me force my music into it. So you have to get that as well. So it's forcing
Nice.
my music on you through my project. So in the credits of every episode, just the background music is a new song. So with that, for season 3 of Danny, the 21 track sex album Glorify releases on March 20th, which is the day that the last episode of Danny premieres. And you can get on the day that Danny comes out, February 12th, you can pre order the album everywhere you get music, and you'll get the bonus track right now. Music video impending.
Very, very cool. Well, this is like going to be airing right before this opens on the 12th here. So, without giving too much away, what are people going to expect for season 3? And do you have in your mind, no matter what happens, where we can go in season 4?
So there's not going to be a season 4. This is the end. Dekkoo has asked for this to be over. But with respect to going into season 3, you know what? You fans of the show who have seen the other 2 seasons are going to have expectations of what they want. And I'm going to tell you to let go of your expectations and just go where I'm taking you because I may not give you what you want and I may not give you what you want when you want it. So just hang on for the ride and trust me.
I like it. I agree. All right. And let's finish it up with a little personal reflection here. If you could go back and tell that younger boy in Pennsylvania one thing about the creative journey ahead, what would you say to yourself?
I guess I would say I don't know if this is good advice, but I would basically say like it's on you, buddy. Like don't be looking for other people to open doors. Open your own doors. Don't be looking for people to reach out their hand. If you want to do it, you're just going to have to suck it up and do it because no one is going to give you permission. So just do it and the people who like what you do and the people who enjoy you will find you. But
Ooh.
just do it and everybody who says no, thanks so much for your input. Keep doing it. I am a huge Star Trek fan, and there is a line in a Star Trek movie that will be my epithet, which is Captain Kirk returns from a meeting with the admirals that he's asked them to do something, and George Takei's character says, "A word, Admiral," and Kirk says, "The word is no, therefore I'm going anyway," and that is what I live my life by.
You are handing out pearls today, my friend. I love that. So cool. All right. I always like to wrap things up, Jack, with a little quick lightning round, 5 quick questions. Give me your first thoughts on here. Question number 1 for you. What is the most chaotic dating app message you've ever received?
A personal trainer near me in Astoria, his first message to me was, "Well, that haircut had to be an accident."
Okay. I have follow-up questions. We'll finish this off air. All right. What is question number 2? What's maybe one red flag Danny should have seen sooner than he did?
I gotta think through the episodes. Oh, well, in season 1, it was very clear that he was dealing with someone who was either MAGA or MAGA adjacent, but Danny kept going because he wanted to see what his dick looked like. He coulda stopped. There were other dicks in the sea.
Very much so. Question number 3. You've had your foot in both ponds here. Still a PA boy or New York City through and through now?
Oh, I've been in New York for 21 years. I'm a New Yorker.
There you go. Number 4, favorite queer film or series of all time, in your opinion?
Okay, I'm gonna go with Deep Cut. I don't know because I haven't watched it in a long time, so I don't know if it's good now, but it was extremely impactful to me as a young gay person. It's a movie called Broken Hearts Club. It included, I mean, there were very few gay actors in it, but it was like Timothy Olyphant, Andrew Keegan, Dean Cain, the dad from Frasier, and they like worked at a restaurant that also had a baseball team. Oh, Justin Theroux's in it as well. Um, and just seeing a group of gay friends dating, having house parties, it really gave me the idea of like what a gay life could look like. So that's the deep cut, but I'm a child of Will and Grace. I saw Will and I was like, okay, that's who I can be. There he is.
I
Yeah.
love that. Broken Hearts Club was one of Greg Berlanti's first one, who is a personal hero of mine from all the
Okay.
superheroes of it, of the Smallvilles and or not Smallville, but the Green Arrows and the Flash and things like that. But that was
Okay.
one of his first directorial debuts. So
I did not know the connection.
big in my heart as well. All right. And question number 5, Jack. We talk about the music of it all. What is a song that always gets you motivated or can always get you writing?
Well, I'll say my favorite song of all time. It's my favorite song. It's my favorite music video. It's my favorite dance break. It plays constantly, which is Janet Jackson's If. That is my favorite song of all time. It is my mantra. If I ever get on the Tonight Show, they'll play that as I walk out. That is my song.
I love it. Well, Jack Tracy, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you here on the Left of Str8 Show. I hope you'll come back in any future projects because I really am enjoying this. The project now is the 3rd season of Danny Will Die Alone on Dekkoo, February 12th. Let everyone know if they want to follow along for the ride, where they can find you on social media, my friend.
Yes, mainly am on Instagram. It's a Jack Tracy official, Tracy, no E. And you can especially look the day that Danny comes out. I launched the crowdfunding for my next project, which is the vulgar queer Christmas movie, The Naughty List. So I hope you'll help me make it.
I like it. Sign me up. I will be on that. Any website or anything else we need to know?
Mostly through Instagram. You can also find me at www.jacktracy.lgbt. But my hub is Instagram. So Jack Tracy official on Instagram.
Fantastic. Well, Jack, stay on the line for me. Guys, we appreciate you tuning in every time right here on Left of Str8 Show podcast. We'll be back with another great artist or guest very soon. And have a great afternoon, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to The Left of Str8 Show. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast distributor, and please give us a 5-star rating so more listeners can find us. You can follow us on social media, and be sure to check out our website for contests and other news and information. See you next week.